The morning my brother got the call about my grandfather's estate, I was standing in the kitchen making oatmeal. Not because I wanted oatmeal, because it was the only thing in my apartment I hadn't already calculated into next month's budget. My grandfather, we called him Pop, had passed 6 weeks earlier. Quietly, the way he did everything. He was the kind of man who fixed his own gutters at 78 and tipped exactly 18% because he'd done the math. He smelled like cedar and motor oil, and he was the only person in my family who ever asked me what I thought about things, not to be polite. Because he actually wanted to know. I was 31. I worked as a staff accountant at a mid-sized logistics firm in Columbus. I had $4,200 in savings, a 2017 Civic with a cracked rear bumper, and a lease that was going up $200 in April. I was not struggling in any dramatic way. I just had no margin. No cushion. The kind of life where one bad month, a car repair, a medical copay, a friend's wedding you can't skip, puts you behind in a way that takes a full year to recover from. My brother lived 40 minutes away in a house with a finished basement and a gas fireplace, and a wife who thought a family vacation meant a resort in Cancun. His name is Derek. He is 3 years older than me, and he has always, my entire life, been the one my parents were proud of out loud. My parents adored Derek. They didn't dislike me. It wasn't that cold. It was more like I was furniture they'd stopped noticing. Present. Functional. Not something you remark on. When Derek called that morning, I could already hear it in his voice before he said anything. The particular brightness people get when good news is happening to them specifically. Pop left me the Westerville property, he said. The house and the lot. Lawyer says it's worth somewhere between $380 and $410. Maybe more if we subdivide. I stirred my oatmeal. That's great! He left you the storage unit contents. A pause. And the truck. The truck was a 2004 Ford F-150 with 160,000 miles and a passenger window that had to be cranked down manually. I knew this because I had driven Pop to his cardiology appointments in it for the last 2 years of his life. My brother had been, during that same period, really slammed at work. Oh, I said. I mean, maybe there's something valuable in the storage unit? Mom said Pop collected some stuff over the years. I said I appreciated him letting me know. I hung up and looked at my oatmeal and did not cry, which I was proud of. Then I drove to the storage unit. The unit was a 10 by 20 in a facility off Route 161 that smelled like dust and old rubber. Pop's handwriting was on a masking tape label on the door. Unit 14, Harlan J. Ostrowski. He always wrote his full name on things, like he wanted there to be no confusion about who a thing belonged to. I unlocked it with the key the lawyer had mailed me inside an envelope that also contained a handwritten letter. I almost didn't read it right away. I almost tucked it in my coat pocket and gotten to work on the boxes, but I recognized the handwriting and I stopped. Lena, by the time you read this, you'll know what I left you and what I left Derek. I want you to know I thought about it a long time. Derek needs what I gave him. He'll sell it, he'll spend it, and it will be gone in 3 years. That's who he is. You'll have to decide how you feel about that. What I'm giving you isn't in the boxes, it's in the account. Routing and account numbers are in the red folder, bottom of the 3rd box from the left. I've been putting money away for you since you turned 22. Every quarter. Your grandmother knew. She helped me keep it quiet. Don't let your mother talk you out of anything. Don't let Derek know until you've had time to think. Take care of yourself first. You've been doing that your whole life anyway. I just wanted to make it a little easier. Love. Poppy sat down on the concrete floor of that storage unit, still in my coat, and I read the letter 4 more times. Then I found the red folder. The account balance, as of the last statement, was $942,000. I did not tell anyone. That part is important. I want to be clear about that, because I have thought about it a lot since, whether I should have done it differently, and the answer I keep arriving at is no. I drove home. I made an appointment with an estate attorney for the following Tuesday. I went to work that Thursday and Friday and stared at spreadsheets and said nothing to anyone. My mother called on Saturday. She wanted to know how I was holding up. She said, "It's hard losing him," in a voice that suggested she had cried about it appropriately and was now moving on. "I'm okay," I said. "Derek is so relieved to have some financial security," she said. "That house will really be a foundation for them," I said. "I'm sure." She did not ask about the storage unit. She did not ask about Pop's truck, which I had parked in my lot and which I was, unexpectedly, having trouble looking at without feeling things. I said, "I've got to run, Mom." She said, "Of course, honey, take care." The estate attorney's name was Ms. Farrow. She was 60, practical, and had clearly seen versions of my situation before. She did not blink once when I told her the amount. Your grandfather was careful, she said. He was no estate tax issues at this level if it was structured properly, which it looks like it was. She reviewed the documents. He used a payable on death designation, transfers directly, doesn't go through probate. So my family wouldn't necessarily know about it. She looked at me over her glasses, not from any public filing. Not unless you tell them, I said. Good. She helped me move the funds into a new account at a different institution. She helped me understand what I had and what I could do with it. She was calm and professional, and when I shook her hand at the end, she said, Your grandfather clearly knew what he was doing. I thought about that on the drive home. He had watched me for 31 years. He had watched Derek for 34. And he had made his decision quietly, the same way he did everything else. I went home and I ate dinner, and I watched something on TV that I cannot remember now. Then I called my financial advisor, who was a woman named Priscilla at the firm my company used for employee referrals, and I made an appointment for the following week. The months after that were the strangest of my life. I kept going to work. I kept driving the Civic. I moved into a slightly nicer apartment in April, not dramatically nicer. Just one that didn't have a drafty window in the bedroom, and when my mother asked why, I said I'd gotten a small raise. Good for you, she said, the way you say something when you're not really listening. I spent that year educating myself. I read books on investing that I had previously had no reason to read. I met with Priscilla every 6 weeks. I started a modest index fund portfolio. I put a portion in a high-yield savings account. I bought a condo, not flashy, a 2-bedroom in a quiet neighborhood near a park, paying cash and telling no one. I rented my old apartment to a dental hygienist named, well, that's not relevant. The point is I had a tenant. The point is I was learning things. I visited my parents every few weeks. I ate Sunday dinner. I listened to my mother talk about Derek's house renovations, my sister-in-law's book club, my nephew's travel baseball. I smiled. I was present. I was, to everyone who saw me, the same Lena I had always been, steady, quiet, a little too serious, vaguely underachieving, and I was fine with that. The trouble, when it came from a direction I hadn't fully anticipated. My sister-in-law, I'll call her what I always call her in my head, which is my brother's wife, had a younger sister who was getting married in the spring. There was going to be a destination bachelorette weekend in Nashville. There was going to be a bridal shower that required contributions to a catered event. There was, apparently, a registry at a kitchen store where the cheapest item was a $40 silicone spatula. None of this would have bothered me in a normal year. What bothered me was the approach. My brother called on a Tuesday evening. He led with questions about how I was doing, which was unusual enough that I knew something was coming. Listen, he said, after a few minutes, we're in a bit of a tight spot. The Westerville property had turned out to have a foundation issue. The estimate to repair it was $62,000. They had also, in the 14 months since Pop's passing, done the kitchen, the upstairs bathroom, and something involving the garage that I didn't fully understand. They had also taken a vacation to Costa Rica. We were counting on the property to kind of stabilize things, Derek said. And now with the foundation, it's a lot. That sounds stressful, I said. I was wondering if you might be able to help out, even a small amount, just to bridge the gap. I was quiet for a moment. Derek, I said, I'm an accountant at a logistics company. I have maybe $4,000 in savings, which was true as of about 14 months ago. I know. He sounded genuinely embarrassed, which was at least something. I just thought, maybe, I don't know. It was stupid. Forget I asked. I said, it's okay, I'm sorry I can't help more. We hung up. I sat with that conversation for a long time. The request itself wasn't the worst part. People fall into financial trouble. Houses are expensive. I understood that. What I kept coming back to was the framing. We were counting on the property to stabilize things, as though the inheritance had already been spent before it was received. As though that was just a thing that happened, a reasonable plan. My brother had been left $380,000 in property. 14 months later, he was asking me, who he believed had almost nothing, for a bridge loan. That was the part I sat with. My mother called a few weeks later. She didn't lead with the ask the way Derek had. She never does. She's more patient than that. Or maybe it's that she genuinely doesn't think of it as an ask. She thinks of it as information, offered helpfully. I've been thinking about you, she said. I worry about your future sometimes, Lena. You're 32 now and you don't have much to show for. Mom, I'm just saying. You're smart. You could be doing more. I'm happy with what I'm doing. Are you saving? Do you have a 401k? I said I was contributing to my employer match. She seemed satisfied by this in the same way you're satisfied when a child colors inside the lines. Good. Good. And then, inevitably, Derek and Jess are having a hard time right now with the house. I just hope we can all come together as a family. I waited. If there's ever anything you can do, even small, I'll keep it in mind, I said. That's all I ask. It wasn't all she was asking, but I let it go. What happened next was their doing, not mine. I want to be clear about that too. My brother's wife had apparently decided, somewhere in those months, that I was hiding something. I don't know exactly what led her to that conclusion. Maybe it was the apartment. Maybe it was the fact that I'd shown up to Easter with a different car. I'd finally replaced the Civic, nothing extravagant, a certified pre-owned Subaru, and offered no convincing explanation. She started asking questions. Not directly, never directly, but sideways. How's your job going? Any changes there? You seem different. Are you doing okay? The particular energy of someone trying to locate the source of a smell. Then in August, 2 years after Pop passed, I got a call from my mother that was different from the others. Lena, she said, and her voice had a thing in it I recognized, shaky, controlled, like she was trying to keep something from spilling. Jess found something. I waited. She looked up property records in your county. A pause. She found a condo registered in your name, cash purchase. I took a breath. She thinks you've had money this whole time and haven't helped us. I said, I see. Is it true? Did Pop give you something? Did you? Were you sitting on money while Derek was struggling? There it was. The question, finally direct, finally in the open. Yes, I said. Pop left me money. The silence was long. How much? Enough, Lena. Her voice shifted. It went from wounded to something else, something harder. We are your family. When Derek needed help, you lied to us. You let us believe. I let you believe what you'd always believed about me, I said. That I was fine. That I was managing. That I didn't need anything. That is not the same thing. You're right, I said. It's not. You always knew Derek needed things. I just didn't know how to need them the right way. I heard her start to cry. I stayed on the line, but I didn't say anything else. What followed was 3 weeks I would describe, if I'm being honest, as a siege. Derek called 4 times in the first 2 days. My mother called almost daily. My sister-in-law sent a text that was so long I had to scroll 3 times to reach the end of it, and the summary was that I had been selfish and sneaky, and that family doesn't keep secrets like this. I thought about the 2 years she'd spent asking me pointed questions about my apartment, but I didn't respond to the text. My father, who is a man of very few words and even fewer confrontations, sent me a single text that said, "Call me when you can." I appreciated the restraint. I called him. He said, "I don't know the whole story here, but I don't think you did anything wrong." Then he said, "Don't tell your mother I said that." Then he said, "How are you doing, kiddo?" I told him I was okay. He said, "You always say that." I know, I said. "I believe you this time," he said. "I want to tell you what I did because it's not what they expected. I didn't fight. I didn't send long explanatory texts. I didn't show up at Sunday dinner and defend myself over pot roast. I had already quietly done a few things over the previous 2 years that became relevant now. When I'd bought the condo, I'd also, with Miss Farrow's help, purchased a small commercial property in the same county, a strip of retail units that had been underperforming, priced accordingly. I'd put a property management company in charge of it. It was generating modest income by the time my sister-in-law found the condo records. She hadn't found the commercial property yet. That one wasn't in my name directly. I had also, in the process of all my research and education, discovered something about the Westerville property that my brother didn't know. There was a lien on it, not his fault, not entirely. It was a mechanic's lien from a contractor who'd done work on the garage and hadn't been paid. Not by Derek, by the previous owner, but improperly filed and never cleared before Pop purchased the property years ago. My brother's renovation work had triggered a review. The lien was valid. It had to be resolved before the property could be refinanced or sold. I had known about this for 8 months. I had said nothing. Not out of cruelty, because I was waiting to see what they would do. Derek called me in September. His voice was different from the August calls. The anger had gone out of it. It was flat, tired, and a little scared. "The refinance fell through," he said. "The lender found the lien. We can't access the equity. And we're behind on the foundation contractor," I said. "That's a difficult situation." "Lena." A long pause. "I need help." "What kind of help?" "The lien is from a contractor dispute that goes back to before Pop owned the place. It's complicated. It needs a lawyer. He stopped. I need about 15,000 to clear it legally, and then we can refinance and we can pay back everything. I let the silence sit for a moment. I know about the lien, I said. A longer silence. How long? Since January. He didn't say anything for a while. I found it during research I was doing on a different property, I said. Which was true. I didn't tell you because I wanted to see if you'd find it yourself. Before you leveraged everything against the property's value, Lena. I'm not angry, I said. I want you to hear me when I say that. I'm not doing this out of anger, but I need you to understand something. I thought carefully about the words before I said them. You and Mom have spent 32 years not seeing me. Not in a dramatic way, just not noticing, not asking, not including me in the mental picture of who in this family needed something. Pop saw it. I didn't understand until after he was gone how much he saw it. Derek was quiet. I'm going to help you with the lien, I said. I'm going to call Miss Farrow and she's going to refer you to someone who handles these, and I will cover the legal cost. Because Pop would have wanted that, and because you're my brother, and because clearing that lien is actually in everyone's interest, including mine. Okay, he said quietly. But I need you to do something. What? Have a real conversation with me. Not about money, just be my brother, actually. Not the version of being my brother where you call when you need something. Another long pause. Yeah, he said. Okay. I don't know yet whether he meant it. That part of the story is still going. But he said it, which is more than he'd ever said before. My mother came over 3 weeks later. I made coffee. We sat at my kitchen table, in the condo she'd found out about, which was warm and had good light and was mine in a way that nothing had ever been mine before. And she looked around for a while without saying anything. Pop did well by you, she said finally. He did. I didn't know. I know you didn't. She wrapped her hands around her mug. I should have seen it. What it cost you. She didn't specify what it was. I thought maybe she meant everything, and that she couldn't be more specific, because being more specific would require sitting inside it, and she wasn't ready for that yet. It's okay, I started to say, and then I stopped. Because it wasn't entirely okay, it was getting there. But it wasn't there yet. I'm working on not being invisible, I said instead. I'd like it if you worked on seeing me. She looked up at me. Her eyes were bright in a way I don't usually see from her. I can do that, she said. I don't know if she can. But I believed, for a moment, that she wanted to. My grandfather left me a truck with a manual window crank and nearly $1 million. He left my brother the thing that looked like the prize. I spent 2 years being exactly who everyone already thought I was. Quiet, present, easy to overlook, while building something underneath that no one thought to look for, because no one thought there was anything there to find. I don't think of it as revenge. That word requires someone to be planning something against someone else. I wasn't planning against anyone. I was planning for myself, maybe for the first time. But if I'm honest, there's a particular kind of satisfaction that lives in my chest now. Quiet, warm, not the kind you feel the need to announce. When I think about the years my family saw nothing when they looked at me, Pop saw it. And he put it in a red folder at the bottom of a box in a storage unit, and he wrote my name on the outside of the envelope. Some people keep a record of everything you are, even when you've given up keeping it yourself. I carry that with me. I carry him with me. And every day I walk into my own life, the one I built quietly in the margins, I think about what he said. Take care of yourself first. I finally know how.